So now question 3. Now, this diagram, you can see a lot of comparison. So what are we comparing now? Achieving successful rooting. Now this time rooting is the subject, is the important word here. Rooting of cuttings is difficult in some shrub species. So the successful rooting is difficult, meaning developing root is difficult. An experiment was undertaken to determine whether juvenile shoots, we use J to represent that, or shrubs root more successfully than mature shoots. We use M to represent the mature shoots. We compare the rooting in the young shoots and the mature shoots. And this data table, this diagram can show you the comparison. Now, on here, it is mature and juvenile. In this species, we are looking at how many species? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 species. And on the y-axis, it is showing the rooting success. If you look carefully, for each species, the rooting success is higher in the juvenile than in the mature. But I think that makes sense, right? It is easy to understand because the juvenile, meaning the younger one, can grow faster, it can develop easier. Okay, now you have this concept in mind already, and now we can look at the question. A. Distinguish. So circle, this is the action word. Distinguish means you have to write the difference. You only have to write the difference between the rooting success of the juvenile shoots and the mature shoots. So we compare the two. This is very easy. So you just need to tell the reader the rooting success is higher in juvenile than in mature shoots. Very easy. So in B, the action word is to suggest. So suggest one reason. So reason. So you have to remind yourself what I'm writing here on the line must be a reason. So state one reason for the difference in the rooting success in the juvenile shoots and in the mature shoots. Now, how can I explain why juvenile shoot can develop root much easier? Okay, now the rooting success relate to what? Now when you are sitting at the exam, what should you think at the time? Now rooting is a part of growth. Okay, it relates to growth and differentiation. Because at the meristem, the actively growing part of the plant is called the meristem. Okay, the meristem will actively produce a lot of new cells. These new cells will elongate; they become bigger, and then the bigger cells will differentiate into different type of cells. Like root is one type of the cells it differentiates into. Okay, but why it is more active in juvenile than in mature? Why is that? Now, if you remember the word I used, meristem. Meristem is the source of the growth. Then we know we have to write meristem. In young plants, the meristem is more active. It is actively growing and dividing and differentiating. So this is the answer. Okay, now so I think if you look at the question carefully, it really can help you. Because if you look at rooting, you look at this word, it can help you relate to growth, and then you try to recall the chapter relating to growth, and you can think of meristem. Now, this is the technique I hope you can learn through doing a lot of practice. Then what about the next one? C. This time outline. So outline is the action word. Outline one variable. So remember, on the line here, you have to write one variable that would need to be controlled in this experiment. Now, if I controlled all other variables, it can make sure this test is a fair test. If I compare the rooting success of mature plant and the juvenile plants, what should I control? What variable should I control? Which is C. The starting leaf area, the size, the mass, the length of the cutting would need to be kept similar in all treatment groups. Or when you're growing them, the environmental factors have also be kept controlled, like the light, the temperature, the nutrients that you gave the two plants, the rooting mixture, meaning the nutrients, the moisture would need to be the same for all plants and both treatment groups. So the first one relates to the plant itself, while the second one relates to the environmental factors. So when you answer control variables, you can think of environmental factors and the factors relating to the subject itself, or the cutting taken from the same relative point of the shrub or the branch. The notes here, a brief description is required rather than a simple naming of the variable. You have to explain why it is important to keep the variable controlled. Okay, brief description. Okay, now D. Auxin. Auxin is a hormone, but we know auxin is a growth hormone in plants that can be applied to improve the percentage of success of rooting in those studied plants with poor rooting success. Now, what you have to do this time is to explain. So this is the action word. This is my drawing. Before I write, I draw something to help myself organize my writing. This is the root of a plant, and this is the meristem of the root. I told you the meristem can produce more cells because it carries out cell division, and the cells can grow in size. They elongate under the effect of auxin, and after elongation, the cells will differentiate. These different stages will be affected, will be stimulated by the auxin. This is how auxin can affect the plant cells. Now, I draw plant cells here. You may notice in the plant cell there is a very rigid cell wall. How do you relate these 2 points? If the cells have to grow in size, while the cell wall is restricting its elongation, restricting its enlargement, then how can it grow in size? So auxin can help by by increasing the flexibility of the cell wall, so it can grow. It can be stretched to become a larger plant cell. So I chose A, B, E in the answer. A is auxin can increase cell elongation. B, change the pattern of gene expression or promote transcription of some genes. So some genes, they are activated, they can produce protein for the growth of the plant. So A and B, and I also chose E. Increase cell wall plasticity, meaning the flexibility to enable enlargement of the plant cells. Alright, of course you can also choose other alternatives. I want you to learn here is to learn the strategy, how you calm yourself down in examination. Do not just start by writing a lot of words. Instead, you plan, you have to write some points, you have to explain yourself, and then you start writing. You may think, then it spends a lot of time, but this time is worth spending because it can save you a lot of time to fix the answer, or it can save you from mistakes. So it is really worth spending.